Dory's short-term memory loss, in some ways, was something that we had to figure out a little bit on the first film, even if we weren't really aware we were doing it. And what became true as we watched it and reminded ourselves of what we did and didn't do in the first film was that Dory has emotional memory. And what that means is when she loves somebody, she remembers she loves them. She will forget their name, she will forget what you're talking about, she'll forget where you met, but she won't forget that she has a connection. And I think that's why at the end of the first film, when she has this heartfelt moment with Marlon, it really resonated because it was basically her saying, like, nobody has stuck with her long enough to create that kind of emotional memory. And so for her, Marlon was the first person in a very long time, and then ultimately Nemo, that kind of allowed her to have those emotional memories again. And this film, we get to understand and see kind of a broader sense of what those memories mean to Dory and kind of what memories from her childhood actually do stick with her and have resonated with her kind of deep down throughout her life. Hank is a septopus. Hank is the begrudging kind of curmudgeonly sidekick to Dory in this film. And all he wants is a ticket to get out of the Marine Life Institute and go to Cleveland. And the reason he wants that is because they're about to release him back into the ocean. And Hank does not want to be in the ocean. He just wants to be left alone where he can be by himself and not have to deal with anybody else, and he's perfectly safe. And we don't really go into what happened or why he lost his tentacle, but there's something there that certainly has made him not want to go back out into the ocean. So when Dory arrives in quarantine after being taken out of the ocean, she is tagged to go to Cleveland, and all Hank wants is that tag. So he goes to try to find her to negotiate, or frankly, to kind of pickpocket her and steal her tag. But Dory is a little bit too smart for him and is kind of onto him and starts to negotiate a trade. And her trade is, if you get me to my parents, I'll give you my tag. Destiny and Bailey. Destiny is a whale shark. And Bailey is a beluga whale. They are, if you will, pool mates. And they are both in the Marine Life Institute for different reasons, but both struggle with kind of a physical challenge. I think Destiny's physical challenge is that she's very nearsighted, and so therefore has a hard time navigating her surroundings and bumps into things a lot and doesn't swim very well. And Bailey is there because he's pretty convinced something has happened to his head. He bumped it very hard and he cannot make his echolocation work. So they're both in there. Bailey is a more recent addition, I think, to the Marine Life Institute, and Destiny has been there for a very long time. In fact, Destiny's been there so long that she actually had a relationship and was friends with Dory when they were both very little, and Dory was living in the Marine Life Institute. Ty Burrell plays Bailey. And again, Ty Burrell kind of has this charm in his voice. You think he's funny and sweet and charming and never silly or stupid. Like, he's got this kind of naive wisdom to him that I think really fits well with who Bailey was as a character. So Ty has this kind of also willingness. I mean, when we wrote, he has to make all the ooh sounds, and you can imagine when an actor gets paid. I think it was the first session we had with Ty, and it was like ooh, and he was like ooh, ooh, and we're like, no, it's like a ooh, ooh, and then Ty like took it and ran with it. For me, as a producer, working with Andrew is a dream. I mean, because not only is he incredibly talented visually as a storyteller, but he also writes kind of these heartbreaking, charming, lovely, complicated characters that, you know, feel like they're sitting right here next to you. Like, you feel for these characters, you root for them. And when something happens to them, you feel for them. And I think that's the greatest gift you can give a film, you know, the greatest gift you can give an audience, I think, is to feel empathy for the character you're watching.
The story of Finding Dory starts back on the home reef with Marlin and Nemo. Dory's living next door. And at a field trip with Mr. Ray, she gets a fragment of a memory for the first time about her family. And it fills her with a desire to find her family. She convinces Nemo, who the two of them convince Marlin, that let's go on this journey to find her family. And they travel across the ocean following her instinct that takes her to the California coastline. And she realizes that she is from the Marine Life Institute. Hank is a curmudgeonly character, and Dory is a very effusive character. Well, you put those two together, and it's awesome, because there's definitely friction there. But they need each other. Hank needs the tag that Dory gets when she first gets to the Marine Life Institute. This tag is like a ticket out of here. Because if Hank stays at the Marine Life Institute, he's going to be released into the wild, and he doesn't want that. He wants to go to an aquarium where he can live in a box by himself. He doesn't want to deal with anybody. Dory says, okay, if you help me find my parents, then I'll give you my tag. And so that makes it so they have to work together. And it's hilarious because they are complete opposites. But of course, they both grow to love each other. Finding Dory is directed by Andrew Stanton. Now, Andrew Stanton is one of the true founders of Pixar. He created Toy Story with us, and he has been a part of every single movie that's been made at Pixar. And of course, he was the creator of the first Finding Nemo. And Andrew Stanton, I think, is one of the greatest storytellers that's ever worked in the medium of cinema. He has got such an incredible story mind, but he also has an incredible sense of humor. He is one of the biggest practical jokers at the studio. And what's great is that sense of humor finds its way into the movie. And Finding Dory, very much like Finding Nemo, is, I think, one of the funniest films we've ever made. In Finding Dory, there are the themes of perseverance, overcoming the odds, finding the true meaning of family. And these all add the heart to Finding Dory. It gives it it's this warm feeling, which is such a hallmark to all Pixar films, but especially Finding Nemo and now Finding Dory. It's this incredible heart, but it's unique, it's different than Finding Nemo. And that's what's so special about Finding Dory. It's an original film set in a world that we know and love.
Okay, Star Wars fans, for Return of the Jedi, did you know that Harrison Ford suggested that Han Solo sacrifice his life to save his friends? But George Lucas declined. What do you think? Would it have been a good idea? For this and more movie facts, click on more videos. Or for more trailers, click on the playlist.